Not every treasure hides at the bottom of the sea or behind a locked vault. Some sit quietly in your pocket, camouflaged among everyday change. Today, we're zeroing in on two small but incredibly fascinating coins, ones that have captured the attention of serious collectors and casual owners alike. They might look like ordinary dimes at first glance, but a closer look reveals why they've become stars in the numismatic world. Let's start with a coin from 1991 that many people have touched without ever knowing just how special it could be. The 1991 US. One dime doesn't seem like it would make much noise in a hobby filled with centuries-old gold and silver. But what makes this one so intriguing is the existence of rare errors that catapult a regular Roosevelt dime into something worth thousands. The 1991 dime, like others minted that year, featured the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse, designed by John R. Sinek. On the reverse, it showcases the torch, olive branch, and oak branch, a design that's been standard since 1946. But the magic of the 1991 issue lies not in its design but in what went wrong during the minting process. One of the most talked about errors from 1991 is the No P dime, where the Philadelphia Mint mark is completely missing. Normally, dimes struck at the Philadelphia Mint carry a small P mark on the obverse, just above the date. But a few 1991 dimes slipped through without it. This wasn't the first time the US Mint had a no mint mark mishap. 1982 saw a famous version too, but by 1991, collectors and the Mint were much more aware, making these mistakes even rarer. Now, spotting one of these error dimes takes a sharp eye. The missing P is subtle, but unmistakable once you know where to look. It's important to differentiate between a genuinely missing mint mark and a coin where the mint mark has simply worn away over time. A true no P error will have absolutely no sign of the mint mark, not even a faint impression. Mint state examples, those that have never circulated and still gleam with original luster, are where the real value lies. Speaking of value, let's talk numbers. A genuine 1991 no P dime in high-grade mint state condition can easily fetch $1,000 or more. Some pristine examples have crossed the auction block for upwards of $2,000. Lower-grade examples, ones that have seen some circulation but still show no mint mark clearly, might bring a few $100s, still a massive return for a 10-cent piece. And there's an interesting wrinkle to all this: no one knows exactly how many of these error coins exist. Theories suggest the missing P occurred when a fresh die, intended for minting, wasn't properly punched with the mint mark before it entered service. How long that die remained in use is a mystery, but it's clear that only a small batch of coins escaped undetected. Because of that, the 1991 no P dime remains a thrilling hunt for collectors even today. Another twist? The phenomenon seems almost localized. Many of the discovered 1991 no P dimes surfaced in the Pennsylvania area, particularly around Sandusky and surrounding towns, suggesting that this was a regional release. Some lucky people literally pulled them from vending machines or pocket change. That kind of real-world treasure hunt only adds to the coin's mystique. Condition plays a massive role in determining final value. A circulated 1991 no P dime that's been jostled around in pockets and cash registers for decades might only sell for $200 to $400, depending on where. But mint state 65 or higher, meaning a coin that shows only the tiniest imperfections under magnification, sees a massive jump. Collectors seek out clean surfaces, sharp details in Roosevelt's hair, and brilliant, untouched fields around the torch and branches on the reverse. If you're lucky enough to find one, getting it authenticated is critical. Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, both certify and grade these dimes. Authentication turns a maybe worth a few bucks into a guaranteed collectible commanding top dollar. What's also fascinating is how the 1991 no P dime fits into a broader story about the US Mint's evolving technology and practices. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, the Mint was moving toward tighter quality control, incorporating better die production and inspection processes. That such an error happened in this era shows just how challenging it is to achieve absolute perfection when millions of coins are being struck at lightning speeds. And for those who enjoy trivia, here's a fun detail: the missing mint mark errors tend to spike interest in coin collecting overall. Every time one is discovered, media outlets run stories, prompting people to start digging through their change jars. For veteran collectors, this can be a double-edged sword: more competition but also more excitement and greater public appreciation for the hobby. In short, the 1991 No-P dime is one of those rare numismatic phenomena where a modern coin carries both mystery and major value. It's a reminder that sometimes, perfection isn't what makes a coin special. It's the little mistakes, the human element in a world increasingly run by machines, that capture our imagination and keep us searching. Now, while the 1991 dime stirs excitement with its missing mint mark, another Roosevelt dime, minted 2 decades earlier, has its own incredible story. This next one involves a mistake so rare and so valuable that even seasoned collectors sit up and take notice when one surfaces. Let's shift back to 1970 and take a closer look at a coin that proves even an ordinary dime can hold extraordinary secrets. When people picture the 1970s, it's easy to get lost in the swirl of moon missions, classic rock, and bold American optimism. But hidden behind all that noise, the U.S. Mint was quietly producing a handful of modern coins that today are prized far beyond their humble face value. Among these, one coin stands out not just for its scarcity, but for the fascinating, almost unbelievable error behind its existence: the 1970 S-proof Roosevelt dime struck on a Canadian dime planchet. At first glance, it's just another Roosevelt dime. It has all the hallmarks collectors expect from post-World War II American dimes: the well-known John R. Cynic portrait of FDR on the obverse, and the torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. The year 1970 was, by most accounts, a routine one for American coinage. But within that year's proof sets, those carefully crafted coins meant for collectors, something unusual slipped through the cracks. This specific error was born out of a mix-up involving Canadian planchets, the small, blank metal discs ready to be stamped into coins. Canadian dimes were slightly smaller and had a different metallic composition compared to their American cousins. Somehow, a few of these foreign planchets ended up at the San Francisco Mint and were mistakenly used to strike U.S. dimes. It's a simple enough mistake to imagine: the two planchets were close in size, workers handled massive volumes of blanks, and human error is an inevitable part of any complex production line. But the resulting coin is anything but ordinary. Spotting one of these wrong planchet dimes isn't something most people can do with the naked eye. The size difference is minuscule, only a fraction of a millimeter, and visually, the coin can look completely normal at first. But a few key traits give it away. First, the weight is off. A standard 1970 US dime should weigh 2.27 grams, but these error coins clock in lighter, closer to 2.33 grams. That tiny weight discrepancy, detectable only with precise scales, is often the first clue. Another giveaway is the overall feel of the coin under magnification. Because the planchet wasn't the intended metal, details can look slightly less sharp. Edges might be softer. The rims can appear thinner or uneven compared to a normal proof dime. Sometimes, the fields, the flat areas around the designs, won't have the perfect mirror finish you expect from a proof. These subtle imperfections, when combined, scream out to experienced collectors: something isn't right here. Now, when we talk value, this error is no small curiosity. It's a major payday for anyone lucky enough to own one. Recent sales show high-grade examples pulling in anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. And the very finest known specimens, those graded PR69 Deep Cameo, have crossed the $7,000 mark at auction. That's $7,000 for a coin smaller than a bottle cap, struck just 55 years ago. One thing that makes the 1970 Canadian planchet error even more desirable is its sheer scarcity. Estimates vary, but experts believe only about 15 to 20 examples have been authenticated. That kind of low population places this coin among the elite of modern U.S. mint errors. Think about it, out of millions of proof dimes produced in 1970, only a handful turned out like this. That staggering rarity drives fierce competition among advanced collectors every time one hits the market. As with all high-end coins, condition is king. A PR65 error coin, still beautiful, but with some minor imperfections, might sell for $2,500 to $3,500. Bump that up to PR67 with deep cameo contrast, and you're easily into the $5,000 territory. The surface quality matters immensely. Scratches, dull patches, or impaired mirrors dramatically lower value. Collectors crave that crisp frosting on the raised devices, the deep, watery fields reflecting light like a mirror, and sharp, fully struck details on Roosevelt's face and the tiny flames of the torch. An interesting wrinkle: because these coins were technically manufactured incorrectly, some purists argue whether they belong in traditional Roosevelt dime collections at all. Others embrace them wholeheartedly, believing that errors, especially dramatic ones, represent an important part of mint history. Today, the consensus leans strongly toward inclusion, and major grading services like PCGS and NGC recognize and certify these errors with official designations. The story behind how these Canadian planchets ended up at San Francisco remains partly shrouded in mystery. Some speculate it was an accident stemming from shared suppliers, others whisper about rogue employees sneaking out oddities to make a little extra money on the side. It's worth noting that in the late 60s and early 70s, the San Francisco Mint saw multiple scandals involving unauthorized coin issues. Whether or not the 1970s error dimes were part of any illicit activities, no definitive proof has surfaced, but the mere possibility adds an irresistible layer of intrigue. For those aiming to hunt one down today, there's one big piece of advice: be skeptical. There are far more people who think they have a wrong planchet dime than there are real examples. Plenty of normal 1970s proof dimes show slight wear, discoloration, or oddities from storage, leading hopeful owners to misdiagnose their coins. True Canadian planchet strikes require professional authentication, including detailed weight measurement and often metallurgical testing to confirm the blank's composition. It's also worth mentioning that in 1970, the Mint was navigating multiple changes in how it handled coin production. The Coinage Act of 1965 had already eliminated silver from circulating dimes and quarters, pushing mints toward new materials and processes. Proof sets were becoming a bigger business for the Mint as the public's appetite for collectibles grew. This environment of rapid change and high-volume production likely set the stage for unusual errors like the 1970s dime. Auction records tell the story better than anything else. Heritage Auctions has sold certified 1970s wrong planchet dimes for $5,040, $6,325, and one even reaching $7,475 in heated bidding wars. When those coins cross the auction block, you can almost feel the tension. Seasoned bidders know how infrequently opportunities come around. Miss it once, and you might wait years to see another. Both the 1991 No-P dime and the 1970s proof error dime show us that extraordinary value can hide in the most unexpected places. Sometimes it's a missing mint mark, sometimes it's a wrong planchet. But always, it's the careful, curious eye that finds the treasure. That's what makes collecting so endlessly exciting. The next great discovery might be sitting right there, waiting, just a flip of a coin away. I can tailor it either inspirational, collector-focused, or action-driven depending on your style.